Hi, I'm going to be discussing the vocabulary acquisition model. The first thing is to summarize the model. This model is the way in which students acquire knowledge of multiple vocabulary words. Learning vocabulary words is essential in a student's ability to understand concepts, instructions, and test questions. If a student is not able to understand the vocabulary, they will not be able to understand the content that you are teaching them. What is the model? This is a teacher-guided model that encourages deep understanding of vocabulary. This goes beyond just remembering a word, but truly understanding what it means, where it comes from, where it's used, and so on. The model also demonstrates real-world and contextual uses of the words. When should the model be applied? The model should be applied when introducing new content with unfamiliar language. This is especially important before a lesson, but also during and after. The reason it should be used before, so that way you can ensure that your students understand the language that is being used throughout the lesson so that they can understand the content. During the lesson, it is important to frequently use the word and continue with instruction so that way students can have a solid understanding, and after the lesson to just continue that knowledge and so that it doesn't get forgotten. What are the steps of the model? The first step is to break down the pronunciation of the word. That goes along with the roots of the word, morphology, just a deep description of the word. Second is to provide a description, explanation, and example of the word. Third is to ask the students to restate in their own words. This is important so that way the students are not just copying down a definition, but that they are remembering through their own definition that they create themselves. Fourth is to have students create a symbol or a picture that represents the word. So that way they can have that connection between what they see and what they understand of the word. The fifth is to engage students in activities that use the word frequently. Consistency is very important. The sixth is to have students discuss the word in pairs or groups, so that way they can be constantly talking about it and comparing definitions with other students. Planning for teaching. It is important, again, like I said, to avoid students copying down definitions and instead having them write them in their own words. Frequently use the word and consistently ask the class to state a definition. This way you can ensure that they are understanding how you are defining the word and how you are explaining it, and that it's not just going over their heads. Again, to play games that use the word, use real-world examples of how to use the word. This is important to create connections outside of the classroom with stuff inside of the classroom, so that way the students can make that strong connection. Also, creating a word wall is a great idea, so that way they can be frequently seeing the word and knowing how to spell it, and just making those connections as you're using it as well. Differentiating instruction. Some examples would be to use students' background knowledge to help them remember the word. This would include asking students their knowledge before defining the word and using their background knowledge to connect to their knowledge of the word. Provide worksheets with images that represent the word. Images are super important, especially for ELLs, just being able to make that connection with what they see. Again, having one-on-one discussions with students to get an idea of their understanding of the word, so that way you are able to understand where the student, what the student knows, and not just what they are able to do in a group setting. Body movements are also really important and a good way to differentiate instruction, because body movements help to connect the brain to what we're learning with our physical body. So that's important as well. Benefits of the model are that it builds understanding of the concept and content area. It helps with knowledge of future vocabulary, and it is useful in guiding students towards not only remembering words, but fully understanding their meaning. This goes back to what I said earlier about not just a surface level, but that they are truly understanding where the word came from, what all of the roots mean, and when to use it. So that is all that I have. Thank you for listening.